Welcome to another Vivi Rocks webinar. This is part of the Vivi Rocks webinar series. My name is Michelle Kyra and I'm the founder of Vivi Rocks, which is a fitness, health and wellness platform specifically for women. We're on a mission to bring amazing speakers around the table to discuss everything that you might want to know about pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, menopause and beyond. And today we're talking about mums. Both Nadine Stille and I work with mums in our respective businesses. I'm a personal trainer and I developed the Fit Mama method, combining fitness workouts, nutrition and vitality to create fit and healthy mums. Nadine is a coach and developed her method of helping mums who are stressed, struggling to find clarity and helping them to become empowered and confident. In real life, we would likely have clients who would see both coaches, me for physical training and Nadine for mental wellness. But what would that client look like? In what I think is a webinar first, we will carefully workshop through 3 different mum stories, their personas, based on actual client experiences that both Nadine and I have had, and talk about what that particular mum is presenting in terms of their problem or their dilemma, and what each coach would suggest as a plan of action. I will come to the workshop with 2 mum stories who are fitness clients and present these clients to Nadine, who will give her perspective on what she would do with them. Nadine's going to come into this workshop with 1 mum story, someone who is seeking her coaching help. During the coaching session, the client realised, or maybe Nadine did, that there's a fitness gap they'd like to do something about. Nadine will present this scenario to me for ideas and solutions. All too often, we talk about what we offer. Fitness plans, coaching plans, big results. But very rarely do we talk through specific scenarios with actual client personas. This is what we're tackling in this very informative, interactive and hugely impactful session. I think it's about time for us to understand what some mums are going through, what the real life issues are, when they start to show themselves, and what we can do to start taking charge of our fitness and well-being. My name is Michelle Kyra. I'm a certified master personal trainer, and I have been running a fitness company since 2010. I am certified through the European Health and Fitness Association, a Nordic walking instructor, a Pilates instructor, and now I am spending more and more time working with women in 2 distinct demographics, one as the mother and one in menopause. I've had a keen interest in female health for a very long time, and I've managed to take my latest company, Vivi Rocks, into a Parisian-based femtech startup ecosystem. I've been noted as a femtech global personality for my work in Fit Mama and the Menopause app, and now with Vivi Rocks. And I've been nominated as an entrepreneur through RBC and Women of Influence 3 years running. I'm super passionate about science-backed content, and this is what I'm trying to do with Vivi Rocks. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome my co-host today, Nadine. Please step forward, please give me all of your information, and please tell everyone who you are, what you do, in particular about your professional side and what's happening where you are. Welcome!
Woohoo! Yay! What an intro, and honored to be here with you today, Michelle. Thank you so much for inviting me. I think this has been a long time coming. We've known each other for years, crossed paths, and we're so passionate about helping women who, how you put it, happen to be moms at some stage of their lives, at least some of them. So it's something that really resonates with me, and I'm super happy to be here. So taking your prompt on telling you and everyone who's tuned in a bit about myself. So hello everyone, my name is Nadine Stille, and apart from being a mama, I'm also a certified mental fitness coach through Positive Intelligence Inc. I'm an accredited coach through the International Coach Federation and have done my life coaching training through the Coactive Training Institute, the largest global training company. I energize stressed out moms and help them integrate their me time, family life, and their careers as well. And in what I would call an empathetic, judgment-free zone, my clients get to rediscover their unique amazingness that sometimes can get lost when they enter motherhood. I help them equip themselves with strategies to build up their confidence, self-kindness, so important, and their well-being. And as a result, they get to live their lives unapologetically the way they want to. I've lived and worked in 6 different countries and have been calling Vancouver, Canada, where I met you, Michelle, my new home for the past few years. And as a former people leader, a hiring manager, an entrepreneur, podcaster, and even a businesswomen's network lead in a global tech company, I'm now using all that international experience and diverse expertise to support and uplift exhausted mums to get them what they want. And most of the time, that's something more. Whatever that more is, that's what we're going after together. And in my personal life, people find me either running around, maybe even running after my toddler, or enjoying some downtime with a novel. Back over to you, Michelle.
Right, all sounds amazing. So the way that we're going to do this workshop, we're going to try and be super respectful of the personas that we're dealing with. We have already discussed 3 different personas, and these personas, it's really important to note, are not particularly one exact person. It could be a mix of 2 or 3 of our clients that we've merged together in a very plausible and real life scenario so that we can bring to this workshop, here is this particular mum, let's talk about her and let's discuss what's going on behind the scenes in her life. We're going to kick off on the fitness side. So we're going to discuss the first fitness client, which is, we're going to call her Chloe. Okay, so she is the persona, and we're going to name her Chloe just so that we've got a name behind the scenes. And I'm going to read out exactly who she is, and then we're going to have a discussion around what the fitness suggestion is on my side, and then why I would potentially refer her to you, or why I would think, I think you need more than what I can give you as a fitness coach. Let's see what else is out there, okay? So Chloe is 38 years old. She lives and works in the city centre as a single mum to 2 kids. One is 4 years old, the other is 18 months old. Chloe has only recently split up from her husband. She is the primary carer, with the kids going to their dad's place every other weekend. Chloe is working full-time in the office with no opportunity to work from home due to the type of work that she does. She lives as an immigrant and doesn't have a family network around her, but does have a very strong friendship circle with some other single mum friends. She has worked for her employer for over 10 years and is at a senior management level with direct reports. She's on great terms with her colleagues. She is feeling completely overwhelmed. She was convinced by a colleague to come along to one of my lunchtime fitness classes and has been regularly attending for around 6 months, twice weekly. But whilst she is finding her fitness levels increase, she doesn't feel like she's making as much progress as she wants to. She can't afford one-to-one personal training or a nutritionist session, and has expressed her frustrations at feeling, quote, tired all the time, not the size I want to be, spinning way too many plates. Okay, so 3 common phrases that I hear. The marital split was mutual and probably is a contribution of having the kids quite quickly in succession and both working full-time. Those were her words. On my side, as a personal trainer, I feel that Chloe would benefit from a 2-week food planner. Every single meal planned for 14 days for Chloe and the kids, with a supermarket shopping list, automated with any shopping delivery app, plus 2 more fitness sessions per week, shorter ones, and quite a few family-friendly physical activity things to do at the weekends when she has the kids. Difficult with the ages. 18 months are getting on their feet, 4 years old are running everywhere. Needs to be a range of activities that A, tire the children out, and B, something they can all do and enjoy. So that's the synopsis of the persona. we can go on to talk about specifically what I would suggest in the fitness part and the life coaching part. But so far, what's your just initial views without going into your coaching part? What do you think about Chloe? Understand all of that? Quite
Yeah, just listening to
Tiring.
Chloe's story, it sounds like there is indeed a lot on her plate.
Yeah.
I mean, raising two kids under five is, it's quite the feat.
It's
Then
not fun.
running a team by herself, running
Yeah.
a team at work can be stressful as well, and then combining that and all the nuances that go with that
Yeah.
on a logistical level every single day.
Mm.
Ooh, right?
So for me, the detail that went into there's some key points I want to pull out before I go into the fitness part of it and suggest what I would do for fitness. The first thing is the age of the kids is quite interesting because 4 years old and 18 months, they are relatively close together in age, I guess, but they are also hands-on ages. They are not independent at that age. So when she is in mum zone, i.e. when she is not at work, when she is with the child at any time, children, she has no other option but to be switched on into mum zone because both of these age groups are into everything. The split up from the husband, there's obviously an emotional element there, and as a divorcee myself, I can relate with that one quite heavily. The reason for the work piece, and to put quite a bit of information about the work, is to show stability at work so that it's showing continuity, that not everything with this particular persona is busy. Her work will be busy, but she has continuity and constancy there with the same employer, with the same team, so it's not like she started a brand new job and then she's like, oh my goodness, I've got this new job, a new team, new whatever. So some things are quite constant, and she has this huge friendship circle. So that's just to give a bit of background on there. Do you want to hear what I suggested?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So she's already attending 2 lunchtime sessions as a group, and I suggest that she continues with that because somebody somewhere convinced her to come to these sessions. She obviously A, likes that person, and B, probably comes with that person at lunchtime. So that could be a work colleague, or it could be a friend who works nearby and they come to that. For working,
Can I just say at this stage, like, for having put in that commitment for 6 months already, twice a week, I mean, hats off.
Yeah, hats off. And
Right.
also it just signifies something that's really quite important here. One of the key elements to success in fitness is habits. Okay, above what you're doing, it's the creating the habit. This is now ingrained, so she has this twice a week. The chance of her dropping out of that is slim because this is something that is now part and parcel of her week. So absolutely right, kudos for that. So I'm going to suggest that she continues with that. She obviously enjoys it and she likes the people she's working out with. So I'm going to say to go continue with that. In addition to that, and something I wanted to say about the working out, the lunchtime sessions. If you are a mum, now it's going to be a whole other webinar to talk about the titles that mums get, but a working mum, a woman who works for a salary who is also a mother is who I'm describing when I talk about a working mum. It is not to be compared with any other description. It's a woman who works for a salary who is also a mother. That's what I mean when I say a working mum. She is a working mum. The best suggestion I could ever give for working mums is to do your workout during your working day because it does not eat into any family time at all, ever. It eats into this lunch hour that you contractually probably have 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes, whatever it is you have. So top tip, if you are a working mum, is 100% to try and figure out what are you doing at lunchtime because that's your key time to do that. The other 2 times that are a little bit more difficult but can work is tag it on to just before work or just after work, because then you psychologically turn around and say it's part of my working day. So your work may finish at 5:30, I go straight to get changed, blah, blah, blah. 5:45, I start my workout, 6:30 I'm finished, then I go to then pick up my kids or whatever. It's tagged onto your day, but that's a little bit more difficult to do that. So continue with the lunchtime sessions. Then I would say this girl needs fun. She needs fun of some description. This is a hard stage for her, separated. She's going to be going through a divorce soon. 2 kids under, like you said, under 5, under 4. This is tough. So for me, she needs a fun workout. She needs something that can make her laugh or giggle or smile. She needs to have something, I would think, like a dancing session, something that gets her a little bit loose, that, you know, her worries are gone and that she doesn't have to think so much. So a lot of workouts maybe come with instructions where you're in the moment and you have to figure out, am I doing the right technique? I would suggest to her, do something fun-based. If she doesn't have any extra money or she can't find anything nearby, then dance along workouts online. There's loads of them, and like Zumba style would be one, for an example. But there's loads of things you can do, and actually TikTok, doing a dance on TikTok and learning how to do the dance moves. I'm not joking, I did that with my son at the start of lockdown, and that is a workout. So even doing something like that and figuring out what's the top dance in TikTok and rehearsing that to get it right, honestly, something like that is really good fun.
Now, the important question about this, did you
Yeah.
record yourself and put it
Yes,
up?
I did.
Yeah.
We did the, I can't remember, the lights or whatever it is, whatever the song was, the trend at the time. Please don't ask me about anything current music. I don't know anything. But it was, whatever it was trending at the time, we did it. And honestly, it took a lot. So I was surprised, but it was good fun. So for me, she needs that type of fun workout. I've been in this stage where I've been a single mom and going through the separation, divorce. It's not fun. Nothing's fun about it. There's nothing fun. It's hard and it's relentless. So for me, this fun bit's really important. I would also say to her to add in a weight training session. So depending on what this lunchtime class is, I know what it is. It's a boot camp style class. But for muscle and bone strength, and to talk about her age, she is, let me remind myself, what was she, 38? She should be starting to be looking at one eye on perimenopause coming in mid-40s. And I know at 38, you don't want to be thinking about anything that has the word menopause in it. Suck it up, cupcake. You're going to have to realise in your late 30s that you're going to have to start tracking some of this stuff. So weight training workout, I would definitely suggest to do that. Get a motivational podcast on, something like that, and get to the gym and start learning how to do weights and strength training. You could maybe do that as a CrossFit type class. So that could be one of the classes that you could do, I guess. Depends on how much money she has. If cost is an issue, she can buy weights online, second hand, she can have them in the house, or a better suggestion is to try and find this at lunchtime again. So to find another class at lunchtime where she can do that. This should add up to around about 150 minutes per week, and quite varied. 150 minutes is what you're trying to target, and it sounds like an awful lot, especially when you're starting at 0 or half an hour, and maybe that's all you're fitting in at the moment. She's not. She's doing 2 sessions per week. They're 45 minutes each, so she's hitting 90 minutes already before she does anything else. Picking that back up and adding on another hour session, split between this dancing session and weight session, takes her to 150 minutes, which is what she should be going for, so that's perfect. And then for the weekend, you shouldn't drop fitness at the weekend. There's no such thing as chilling out days. There's rest days for your body, for sure. So you don't have to be doing fitness specific. Everything counts to get to this 150 minutes per week. So at the weekend, I'd suggest, what can you do a combination with the ages of the kids? So you could be doing things like berry picking, you could be doing swimming pool, games in the pool, treasure hunt around the town, picnic, games in the park, meeting up with these friends that she's got, these other single mums that she's got, doing bigger games like baseball, or we would say rounders in English, playing all that in the park. Your 2 goals for that is you're trying to tire the kids out, get some fresh air, get some exercise, and also try and get outdoors because you want to get that light into your life. I don't mean physical light, although that is part of it, but just to get something a bit lighter so you're not sitting in the house doom and gloom. And then the weekends where she doesn't have the kids, she can go all out and do whatever she likes. That could be her rest weekends where she doesn't necessarily do fitness and she's got the weekend off to date. Dancing, I don't know. So that's what I would do for fitness. What do you think
Hmm.
about that?
That sounds super interesting, and I love that well, for one, you have to incorporate the kids somehow, right? Specifically at this age. If they're a bit older, there's different areas, but this is like taking her whole life in a holistic approach into consideration of what's going on here. And I love that you started with the fun because that was what went through my head too. When you first presented Chloe to me, it's like, oh, this sounds all very, it sounds heavy.
Yeah,
It sounds heavy and what did you call it earlier? Relentless and
it is relentless
yeah, a
and
motherhood
constant
by itself is
and
already that, but then
constant.
you have all of this, all of these
Yeah,
other aspects to it, right?
yeah.
So actually fun, fun would be on my side as well. So if we, are in a position where Chloe comes to see me, we would have
Yeah,
a,
go for
a, a
it.
quick first chat as well. It's like, what else does she want for her life? Where that shows up, and it's not necessarily fitness related, but also maybe like mental wellness as well as like how can she maybe like switch over and find that lightness in mind as well, right? Not just in her physical fitness, but in her mind. How can she like bring a bit of fun and lightness to that, so not all this heavy stuff about divorce and doing it all herself. This is like sits on her shoulders, but kind of shed that off a bit. And one of the things that actually came to mind when you just presented what you'd want to do is that Taylor Swift song of like shake it off, shake it off. So it's like
Yeah,
that music, and
that could be
it's
her
like
dance.
physical, yes, like whew, let go of all these things and let go a bit. So that is the thing that came to my mind. And so yeah, after an initial call, this is the fire truck going past outside. Do you hear it?
No, I don't
No,
actually.
that's good. Okay, it's
You would be
very
hearing it. You're
prominent
like,
over
oh.
here. It's like, whoa. Um, so yeah, so in the initial chat, finding out exactly what she wants, and we're now deciding, okay, yeah, we're a good fit. We can go forward. Then obviously we'd have a plan of what are the ultimate goals. What do you want to achieve? And in coaching, we're always of the assumption that the coachee, as in this case Chloe, knows what's best for her own life, and it's down to me as the coach to kind of tease that out from her by asking her the right type of questions. Um, and just kind of getting back to the fun part is I like it to be like intentional. It's like how can you have intentional fun? So you're having all these expectations from work, you're having expectations from your ex-partner, expectations from the people around you, and it's you kind of you can get bogged down real quickly, and that's normal, I guess, under these circumstances. And without it's like, oh, I'll be happy when, or it'll be better when, da 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 da. But you're kind of setting expectations or boulders in the way of your own happiness. It's like I'd want to encourage her to look for ways how she can be happy now and enjoy the present moment and enjoy life right now, not when X, Y, and Z are in place. So we would be exploring ways for more intentional fun. And the fitness aspect is definitely one way of doing things, but there are different things work for different people, right? So it's like, what is that? What did she enjoy before she had kids? What is it? Maybe a hobby that hasn't that she's put on the back burner, and that well, there are loads of different things that you can explore, but it's more also around for herself. It's not for her as the manager, for her as a mom, but it's like, what is it that she really connects to? What is that she wants as a woman? And um, really look into that intentional fun. What makes her happy?
Yes.
What gets her energized? Sometimes there's activities that you do and you're like, oh my God, where did the time go? Because you're just like, you're getting really bubbly talking about it. So what is that for her? What is that for Chloe? That's what we're kind of trying to look for. And sometimes that's a bit hidden under expectations and weights and of society, or, the position that you're in. So that's what you're really looking for. And um, another question that I'm really curious about is, how is she maximizing self-care and fun when the kids are not around? What's she doing on that weekend that she has for herself? Is it more like cleaning the house and getting caught up on work stuff? And, it's like, how is she really maximizing that time for herself? And how can she be intentional around that? That would be one approach. That's the intentional fun side of things. And the other one is really around looking at the energy drainers. And what is it that she's saying yes to that she actually doesn't want to say yes to, both at home
the best thing
and
I've
at work?
seen, I saw something that said for a t-shirt, it should say, no is a complete sentence.
Yes, absolutely. It takes practice though, because we've had practice of saying yes for so long.
Yeah, right? I think we should be taught that at school. You hear a lot of things of, we should be taught this at school. I mean, the list of things we should be taught at school just gets so large. But honestly, I think exactly what you've just said, that saying yes to everything is crippling.
Yeah. And it's that weight on herself. It's all these plates that she's spinning. And it's like, why? What makes sense? What can you drop from that list? And also look into things that also, like, another energy drainer is things that maybe can be automated, or it can be planned and scheduled. Obviously, that one of the biggest things that keep coming up is like, oh, what's for dinner? And then what's that question, or that question of, oh my God, now I have to think about something. That mental energy that goes into things that can be planned out and that can be automated, like the next, I don't know, delivery, the next auto sign up to something, the next appointments for, I don't know, the hairdresser. Okay, every 2 months, it's in the calendar. We'll just book it ahead for the year. It's just like, there's no thinking about it. It's like lots of those things that all add up and are just sitting on, like, oh yeah, I have to remember this, I have to remember that. It's like, what are things that you can automate and make life just a lot easier? And I'm just looking at my...
Also, that thing about the scheduling actually clicks into play when we're talking about recently, especially in the COVID situation, how mum has become the default parent. Mum seems to be the number one parent by complete default. She didn't volunteer for it, but she's certainly doing it all.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, this emotional drain of hairdressing appointments. I've just signed my son up. My son lives with me, so it's hardly a great comparison, but he's 11 now, and I'm the one that does the school admission forms. That takes a long time to pull together that dossier of every single item that they require, including writing a check if you're looking for a check, blah, blah, blah. That took me a good 3-4 hours to pull together every single document, e-version, Google link to that drive, and blah, blah, blah. And that, you're exactly right. Booking things like hairdressing appointments, dentist appointments, annual check, whatever it is that's annual checkup. Yeah.
All in one go, batch work it, or whatever works. So there's not one way that works for everyone, but it's like, what makes sense here? And that you can, once it's done, it's off your mind, it's off your list, it's just done, and it's in a calendar. And again, what works there, I guess, if she's a manager in a company in the city, she might already work with maybe some scheduling apps or calendars and stuff like that. Maybe what comes in there, and how can you utilize that a bit more for herself, but maybe even with her partner, so they know as well what's going on. And you don't need to start explaining everything over and over again when you meet up, that, when the kids are being handed over to the other part. And coming back to the 4-year-old, I know from my toddler, he loves helping in the household and
Yeah.
like being involved in that. And I think at 4, he can have some sort of like calendar already on it, say even on a wall with like stickers on and whatever. And it's
Mm.
like, okay, 4, we're making dinner. What does that mean? You get, there may be a sign on the calendar that says you need like a picture for a plate, and cutlery, or, and off the little one goes and helps set the table. So
Yeah.
it's like, where can you incorporate them at this
Yeah.
stage as well to kind of help out a bit and automate things that you don't have to
Yeah.
set, or even dressing in the morning. Okay. You need to get your toothbrush
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
What are your clothes, or do that in the evening so you have that
Yeah.
stress not in the morning of what am I going to wear. Like that also can be automated and put into a routine, or as you put it earlier, a habit, a
Yeah.
healthy habit. Get rid of those energy drainers as much as possible and just be a bit,
Streamline it.
yeah. So those would be my interests. Like, where can you get rid of the energy drainers and look more
Yeah.
into the energy givers and that intentional fun.
Yeah. That bit, when I gave the intro of who she was, I said on my side, I feel she would benefit from a 2-week food planner. And it's really funny. I had this conversation with somebody else literally 2 days ago, and we were talking about this. And I said, when you are a working mum, the biggest tip that I can give you is to, apart from the fitness during the day, is to get a planner for 2 weeks. Get 2 weeks worth of meals, Monday through Sunday, 2 weeks worth. They don't have to be boring. They can be exciting meals, but Monday evening meal could be Tuesday's lunch, leftover lunch, that kind of thing. So make
Mm-hmm.
sure you do it properly. But once you've got your 2-week planner, stick it up on the fridge and do the same, follow that planner until you're bored. And
Mm-hmm.
then spend time to redo another 2 or slip out a meal and put something in, because it just takes away that element of what do I need to do for dinner tonight. It means you're buying the same groceries day in, day out, or week in, week out. You're making the same foods. It might that sounds dull and boring. Life is, yeah, you know what? When you're a single mum and you've got 2 kids, these things have to be put into this kind of pile of
Mm-hmm.
do what you can to get through this, because it's not easy. So exactly what you said, to automate, for me, and I give that recommendation to a lot of new mums, just your menu doesn't have to be boring. Have 5 different colours on the plate. Don't overthink it. Just get some food
Mm-hmm.
organised. This is Monday night's meal, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, whatever. And just make sure that you've got that streamlined onto a
Yeah.
shopping app.
Yeah. And exactly, then the shopping apps, like
Yeah,
where that's the you don't also need to think about what am I going to go shopping for? What do I need
yeah,
there?
exactly,
So
exactly.
it has that kind of domino or
Yeah.
knock-on effect as well.
And the last
That
thing for
works out
her
really
before
well.
we move on is I would also suggest for anybody who is doing the working out during the day at work, take in your full week's worth of workout clothes and everything you need in one bag on the Monday morning, and take a second bag for dirty clothes. So you've got your week's worth. You might have 3 different tops, 2 sports bras, 3 bottoms, all your socks, all your hairbands, your empty bottle for water. You might have your protein snack bars, pre-workout, post-workout, whatever you need. Get it all in a bag and find somebody at work to chuck that bag for the week. So you're not every day having to take another bag, because that other bag along with your pack lunch or whatever starts to be like, oh my, I'm
Yeah.
just every day I'm taking I'm moving out and moving back in. Don't, just take it on one day, do your workout, do your fitness, come back at the weekend and then get on with it.
Again, it's that automation part,
Mm,
and you don't need to think about it. It's there. You think about it once a week, or twice, bringing
yeah,
it, and then Friday taking it again.
yeah, cool.
But it's like, oh, how many bags do I need in the morning?
Yeah,
It's like, no, exactly.
good.
Smart about it.
I think
Cool.
Chloe's going to be chuffed with that, and hopefully that ticks what she wants. She's looking for something overwhelmed, that's taken overwhelm away.
Mm.
And she doesn't feel she's making enough pregnant. Okay, she can't afford one-to-one. That's fine. You don't have to be able to afford one-to-one. You've got other
Hmm.
things you can do. There are tons of free stuff, so we've got all that done, and I think we're done. I think she's
Yeah.
done. Cool.
Taking stuff off her plates. Taking some plates away from her. Because you said she was spinning
Perfect.
too many plates.
Definitely. Right, introduce me. Who are you bringing
Okay.
to the workshop? Let's go on to persona number 2.
Number two, meet Sofia. Sofia is 36 and
Okay.
has just been promoted to a new manager position. She has a 2-year-old toddler who she and she raises the toddler with her partner. There's no family support here, similar to Chloe earlier. They also live in a different country, and that means actually for current times that they would have raised the 2-year-old basically by themselves without the support during the of their family during the pandemic. They're generally actually good, fun and outgoing, but obviously less so due to the demands and the circumstances. There, Sophia's original reason for reaching out was that she's totally stressed as a newish mom and a new manager and all the expectations that come with it. The stress levels are not really sustainable. She's working from home, but the impact of all of that newness and more or less being not really having that full village around them is really having an impact and showing in their relationships, health, and also the energy levels. So there are some similarities to Chloe. And so it's a similar language coming through, but that's how Sophia came to me. And again, it's a merging of several clients that I have. And the problems that kind of need solving or that we would tackle after an initial consultation and agreeing on how long we want to work with each other and what the overall arching kind of goals are, is really finding, like, digging deep and finding clarity about what exactly the stressors are, and link them to Sophia's values, so that once you know why you're really stressed about something and what's the underlying reason and how that is how you're self-sabotaging and maybe even not really being aware of your values. And once you know all this, once you have that clarity, you can apply it to the current situation, but all the other ones that are due to come as well. So it'll help you in the short and in the long term. Self-sabotaging could be something like it's nothing. Self-sabotaging is something that everyone does. It could be something like being a people pleaser, or being a perfectionist, thinking like, oh, everything just happens to me kind of attitude, or loads of different things. And it's like, what exactly, like, how does that play into this situation, and how can we help get out of there and really dig deep. And then the other things is really identifying patterns and come up with solutions that work for Sophia. And things like that could be how to set boundaries. What again is she saying no or yes to? Identifying those things that really give her a bit of energy, and how to get more of them, how to like bring that into her life, and carving out some time for herself. And I'm not necessarily talking about having a shower by herself or using the washroom by herself, because that is like
I hate those
basic.
examples.
Those are like basic human needs. I'm talking more than a quick 5-minute shower.
What about a
That's
candle? Lighting a candle at night? What about a bubble bath? I hate these examples. When I see these self-care examples, I just want to cringe. I hate them. Yeah, okay.
It might work, and it for some reason, for some people that's enough, right? And they're just craving that, and that's enough. But it's not something that's a long-term strategy. We're
No.
looking into like healthy habits again in that sphere, right? So there's a few stumbling blocks or issues that come along the way. But before I kind of go into that, I just wanted to quickly check in with you if Sophia's
I mean,
example makes sense to you.
yeah,
What's come
I
up for you so far?
I have to say, I don't even know the words to empathize enough with anyone who became a parent during the, what are we calling it? A pandemic, or are we going to call it? Yeah, 2 year. I mean, it's still
COVID
ongoing, isn't
times,
it?
yeah.
I mean, I just can't even find the words to empathize. Apart from, I mean, wartime, I can't think of another, as in World War II or any wars that are currently going on. I can't think of any other time that would be so hard. It's difficult for me to empathise because it just must be horrific to have a child during the pandemic with no support. And bearing in mind, if she's had this baby and probably given birth by herself, maybe with a mask on, or I mean,
there's
horrific.
obviously like, yeah. I know there were different circumstances at different times during the pandemic, even over
Yeah,
here. I don't know, it's like originally you were able to like have a birth partner there,
yeah,
and then not, and have that support, not knowing what's going on. Is it even healthy being in the hospital, or should you
yeah.
just like home birth and like
It
then
just, it
the
just,
support throughout it.
yeah.
I mean, there are people out there who if for some people there's some positive aspects through it. It's like spending more quality time together, or maybe because now
Yeah.
their partner doesn't have to go to work and leave the home, but because they can work from home as well. But there's always,
It's just,
but it's difficult. It's difficult
I
at
think
the bottom of it.
I think having had the experience of having a child in normal times in the country I gave birth in,
Yeah,
I really feel so vexed for anybody who's
yeah.
given birth in the last 2 years, because clearly she is going to be completely and utterly stressed out at this point, and there should be no surprise to anyone. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this next part of what you think,
Yeah.
because for
Okay.
her,
Yeah.
I just think, yeah, I mean, I just want to give her a hug and say, you've got this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you can get through the last 2 years, you can do anything.
Yeah, and like I mean,
I think, anyway.
we're touching on it later. We're touching on it later again as well. But I've just read some statistics yesterday that said specifically during the pandemic, postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression have skyrocketed, and that's for people who are diagnosed. There
Okay.
are a lot of people who do not get diagnosed simply
Yeah.
because either they do not have access to healthcare services,
Yeah.
or because they think that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It is hard, and I just have to go and
Yeah. But
suck it
at
up,
least
go
Sophia
through
has,
it. But we're looking at it. She
yeah,
has not postpartum depression.
but she has recognised something and come to you. So at
Yes.
least she's in a
Yeah.
position where you can
Yeah.
say, good, thank you. You've done the
Exactly.
first step.
And kudos to her for going for another position, for going for a new job,
Yes.
and taking a step up to being a manager as well. There's lots of people who changed jobs during the pandemic, or even just in like recent months. This whole great or big resignation where everyone's just like, no, I've had
Yeah.
enough with my previous job. I want more, that more what I
I
refer to
wonder
more. And
if she has been in a position where she's felt she's had no choice. I have to go for this promotion, or I might be impacted in the postpartum zone, taking mat leave, and then
yeah,
I wonder if she's been in a position where she's like, I better go for this. Do you know what I mean? And maybe
yeah.
that's
It can
so.
totally happen. It's
Yeah,
something. Yeah, no, it's definitely something to explore. The entire thing of, oh, I should be doing this, right? That word, oh, I should be doing this because, hey, I'm lucky to have been offered this in the first place, rather than recognizing her own
yes,
abilities in it as well, right?
yeah. Like this cap in hand, thank you so much for recognizing me and giving me this job, rather than I totally deserve this role. When we don't know
Correct.
if
Yes.
if she totally wanted this job or not. I'm just going off on a tangent to say I wonder if she felt like she was forced, I have to go for this,
Yes,
there's no other option. Because
exactly.
I can just imagine that that's the position that you would be in, because she's got
Well,
quite a lot going on, but good for her.
yeah, I mean, no one can't. like can make you do this, but but there's like, oh, maybe I don't have a choice. Maybe there is this type of thinking there as well, and that's actually some of the stumbling blocks that I mentioned earlier kind of come from that as well, where you're really exploring like what is actually going on, what's the underlying reason of that stressor, and the stressor might be that self-sabotage. I better say yes. Maybe that people-pleasing thing came through here, and it's like I should be doing this. So that's all something to explore. And then, okay, when this shows up in something as big as your career, where else does this show up in your life? Because you might be happy in the short term, but the long term, there's a whole lot of issues that will come up because of that. So stumbling blocks around here is like something like being kind to your mind. And you might hear me say this over and over again, but self-kindness is so, so important. Like, I deserve this, or I have an opportunity to say no here.
How do we learn that skill of being self-kind though? How do we learn that? Because we hear, is it,
yeah.
Would it be like journaling? Would it be like taking, like I teach people how to create fitness workouts using blank postcards and how to pull them together. Could you do something like that where you get a pile of blank postcards and you write words like of affirmation words, or
yep.
what is it that would make me go, yeah, this is being self-kind to me? What is it?
So first of all, I would say that's a skill that needs to be acquired and practiced, because for so long we probably have been told by society, by whoever else, even ourselves, oh, this should be hard, or I should know better, or like this certain way of thinking is ingrained. So you can't just switch it off and say, oh, now I'm being kinder to myself. Yes, that's the first step, that you want to do that, but it's the practice every day and reminding yourself of that. And a coach then can come in and like through the coaching conversations, like really point out like, oh, is this really a fact that you're thinking about, or is this just a thought? Where does this come from? You're mixing up those two things and they're not actually the same thing. So there's a lot of unraveling to do, and practicing self-kindness. It all starts in your mind, but you need to catch yourself in the moment there as well. That takes practice, and something like journaling or positive affirmations, that is something that is proven to work, but it doesn't resonate with everyone equally. So there's a matter of, yes, you can create that as a habit, but if your heart really isn't into it, or it just doesn't resonate, maybe there's other ways that you can incorporate that. So for you, it might be journaling. For others, it's like, oh no.
Couldn't do that. Yeah.
Journaling is essentially reflecting. So that's what you get through a coaching conversation as well, where I ask you questions and then you're reflecting on it. So that might be your way of doing it. And for others are like, oh no, I want to go all through all the coaching questions again and then some at home again through my journal, and something else comes up. So again, it's really, really personalized, what really resonates. And what else I wanted to say is like, identify the kind of negative self language, like, oh, I really need to get my stuff together, I really should have known better, I'm just not good enough. It's like, where does this come from, and how can you get rid of it in the moment so it doesn't really fester? Again, getting clarity about what and why, where are the patterns, how does this impact your relationships or other aspects of your life. If you think you should be doing something, what impact does that have on you? And with not a lot of time and resources, maybe you're working through all that, maybe even during coaching or during fitness, might take extra resources in the short term, but the investment is worth it in the medium and long term. So overcoming this type of negative mindset means that you're really investing. I would see it that way, investing in your future, and you what you learn now from that experience is something that will help you go through the rest of your life happier and easier. It's easier to make the right type of decisions, and so there's a good payoff there. And yeah, pulling through some of those actions and changes, and then actually have the accountability. So, it's like time is a bit tight with Sophia. So it's like have me there as the accountability partner. So we're looking into getting that clarity, the insights, this type of thinking patterns, and yeah, like even get out of the head a lot more.
Mm,
Like we're like, oh, I have to again, it's like I have to think about all these different
yeah.
things and having all these balls in the air. But really, it's like connecting with like, what does your gut tell you? What does your heart tell you? What do you really long for? And getting from out of here into your body. And that's really where the connection with the body comes in, and the fitness for it, right?
Yeah. I
So that kind of um that's where you'd kind of come in.
I feel like in antenatal classes, so when you're pregnant and you're encouraged to go to these classes, I feel like during that time there should be a whole chapter and a whole area on here's how you might feel in the
Mm,
postpartum zone. Because I work with a lot of clients who are not on the postpartum depression spectrum at all, but they're on an overwhelm spectrum, or they're on a stress spectrum, or they're on an anxiety spectrum. And for me, I just feel like maybe sometimes the elders, people that are 5, 10 years ahead of you, if they'd just been a little bit more honest about what that stage is, just so that you've got the facts, that you can probably embed the being kinder to yourself, being more gentle. You don't have to have everything together. You don't have to have everything together by the time your baby's 4 weeks old, just so you know.
yeah.
I think that should be encouraged during antenatal instead of just learning all about changing nappies or breathing or going through delivery or whatever it was. I just feel like that is a missing piece because we are on the other side of this and we're working with mums in postpartum. And postpartum for me is the first 12 months of after giving birth. That's medically what
Hmm.
it's referred to as. Um, and I just feel like there's a whole range of things that mums would really quite like to know way before they get to that point, just so that they can prep.
Yeah, the
We're
learning curve
intelligent
is
humans. We know what we're doing. We
the
can
learning
handle
curve is huge.
Yeah,
And
we
when
can
you're
handle
tired,
this.
yeah.
But
And when you're tired
finding this
and
out when
and
you're
all of
tired
these
and stressed, why it's too late. We need to be
yes.
getting this
How can
earlier.
we exactly like prep for it? Take that
Yeah,
guesswork back out of it, and it feels extra overwhelming when you're already on that spectrum and you're
yeah,
tired and you don't know, and then all of a sudden, oh, is this how it's meant to be this way? And
yeah,
you're like trying to frantically reach out and sees like, is that normal? Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's normal.
So on the
Or it's
fit,
not normal, because a lot of times we're either being told by the elders that you just referred to,
yeah,
or through television or through social media. Oh, you see all these good stories around, right? And it's like no one tells you that you can be really in the trenches, and that it can be difficult, um and it's just like it's not there, and sometimes when people open up about it, there's just nearly a bit of a stigma there. Oh, it wasn't as nice for me as everyone
yeah,
else says it's going to be, and
exactly
that's
that.
actually nearly even like the normal
So
things around it. But yeah, I would pass it on
yeah, so
to
Sophia
you.
for fitness is a really interesting style of this persona. Is really quite interesting for me because something that I would take into account initially would be these stress levels. I actually would like to find out a little bit more. And personal trainers, when we take clients on, we get them to fill in this industry-wide and accepted document called a pre-activity readiness questionnaire, a PAR-Q. And the PAR-Q is there to give the personal trainer a lot of information. Now, you could quite quickly say, oh, it's a liability form, and to not have the liability. But actually, it's not that. That's a different form. That's an insurance type form. This form is so that we can understand who is standing in front of us so that we can give the correct exercises at the correct intensity, that are going to work for that particular client. So I want to find out a little bit more about the stress levels, if they are so high, because I want to take into account potentially her cortisol levels. And cortisol creates stress. So you don't want to be doing workouts that are creating higher levels of cortisol and she's actually feeling more stressed. So you'll find that some high intensity workouts are like that, and some people thrive on those. So they go in and they do their session, they come out, and at the end they're alive, they're buzzing, God, that was such a good workout, they're sweating, they really feel it, the achievement is there. Not altogether always the best solution for people who have high stress levels initially. Okay, so you have to play around with that, and you have to give it a bit of a try. It's a trial and error there. So I would want to find that out and give her plans and programs that are suitable for her. Initially, I'd be looking to establish what kind of time she does have available each week, and I would be trying to get her to carve out at least 3 hours per week specifically for fitness, workouts, physical activity. These are 3 separate things: fitness, workouts, physical activities. So way back in our previous persona, I talked about pretty much everything counts to get you to 150 minutes per week. So bear that in mind. When I'm saying that she needs to carve out about 3 hours, she needs to get to that fairly quickly. I mean, I'm not saying that she needs to be doing 3 hours next week, but she needs to have some sort of goal that within the first 4 weeks of seeing Michelle, I want to be up at that 3 hour mark. And that would include family activities at weekends. That would include walking anywhere she's going. It would include workouts that she's doing. It would include personal training sessions. I would look at a real mix for her. Group sessions for me, for her, would be perfect, because I really feel that she has had that isolation during the pandemic. If she works from home, she's continuing that isolation. Just because you've got online and you can go on Teams and you've got your work and all the rest of it, doesn't mean anything when you need that face-to-face contact with people. Okay, so there's a difference there. And I think for new mums particularly, who have missed out on mum and baby groups, mum and baby classes, all these things that a lot of other mums, I'm saying mums because I know for a fact that a lot of dads don't have the paternity leave, so they don't get involved in these classes. So mums she's missed out on that interaction. So for me, I would say she needs to do some group sessions as well as individual PT sessions, personal training sessions. We've already discussed becoming a mum during a pandemic must have been pretty horrific. So taking that aside, I would say group sessions helps with accountability and camaraderie. You feel like part of a team, you feel like you're there with other people. You know when you get in the train in the morning, you see the same people on the train, but you don't know their names, and you're like, oh, it's the guy with the thing.
You give them names.
Yeah, you give them a little nod.
Colourful sock guy.
Yeah, exactly. And this is pretty much what fitness classes could be like if you don't know anybody in them. You just know, oh, it's the same, it's the usual crowd, and you never find out their names really. So she needs to have that. She needs to have that interaction with others. She could do that online live streaming, in person, or she can do it virtual, which is async. Now, in person, obviously, she has to carve a bit of time for that. And again, lunchtime classes would be the suggestion. It depends on how flex her work is. If her work is fairly flex, then she might be able to go to some classes at any time during the day or after work. Online classes are live streamed, so they're on at X time and you dial in. And virtual, I would say, in this regard, would be async, meaning the workout is there, I'll go in and do it at whatever time I want to do it at. But it's a group thing. I do this in my groups. It's async, but it's a group. So at the end, once you've done your workout, you type in the group, done. Regardless of what time zone you're in or whatever, everyone gets the same workout every day. I post a new workout every single day, so it's async. The individual PT sessions would be once per week, so that she's got this other time to do group stuff. And in the individual time, we would concentrate on whatever it is that she's looking to do, which could be gaining strength. It could be full-length workouts, so taking her into a longer session so she's building stamina, so that she is building I can do this, 45 minutes to 60-minute workout, rather than doing short, and trying to get more. Because if you keep on encouraging that person to do short workouts, they're going to fill that day with more tasks. If you've got somebody that's totally stressed, you actually want to fill as much of an hour as possible concentrating on one thing. Be here, be present, we are doing this workout.
Yeah.
We're doing it 45 minutes to 60 minutes. Put your phone away. It's just you and I. Let's go on with that. That actually works much better with high-stressed clients than doing short, sharp workouts. Okay, so you have to encourage them to carve out the time. New exercise techniques, so giving her some exciting things to do that just changes things up a little bit. You could even do a session where you are at some point throwing around basketballs and you're just, one-on-one basketball shooting, just anything to get her moving around a little bit different. Target certain body zones with exercise as well. And the PT sessions for me also help, especially if you're integrating some other techniques like Pilates, yoga, and using some of the machines, because she is then concentrating on how is this impacting certain parts of my body. So she knows then to concentrate on just toning the abs. You don't actually do a pile of ab exercises. She knows she's going to have to do a full body exercise. She knows that lifting weights activates the abs. So you're teaching and educating as you're going along with PT sessions, so that one session per week, complemented with the group sessions that she's doing, whatever she chooses to do, should give her a really nice rounded fitness program every week where she is gaining strength. So that's what I would suggest for her.
Yeah, and what came up for me when you said this, it's a nice, because of the variety of it, you get the fun part with the group in there, and the social aspect. On the other hand, what she can definitely look from a life coaching perspective as well is what are the energy boosters in there and the fun bits. On the other hand, those longer sessions where you're having the Pilates exercises and things like that, and it's one-on-one, it's very intense, and because you need to concentrate on how you're doing these exercises, right? There's please correct me if I'm wrong, but you need to look into the technique, so have the proper technique into there, because otherwise it won't work. There is a mindfulness aspect to it.
Completely.
Right? You're concentrating, similar to maybe breathing exercises or having guided meditation. You're concentrating on a particular aspect might be of your body or on your senses. And in this case, that comes up as well, which again, then should hopefully balance that out a bit as well. It's the same thing that we're looking at from a life coaching thing. So again, I kind of just wanted to be very pointed out how in sync those things could be, and how it's all connected in a holistic way.
I'll give you a really quick side note before we move on to our last persona, but the very quick side note, particularly on that, when I became a single mum, my son was only 15 months old, and I remember being in the position of pretty much the two mums we've discussed, highly stressed and really a lot on and a lot going on. And what I did was I started doing downhill mountain biking. And I lived in the Alps at the time, so I was able to, from my door, get one of the lifts, the telecabins, with my bike up into the bike park and then do a few runs. Now, I was a complete beginner when I started. I would still class myself as a beginner towards the end of that particular summer. But I did that because I didn't take my mobile phone with me. I was terrified it would smash and break if I had a crash. I couldn't afford to replace my phone. So I was on a bike park. There was loads of people passing by. So I didn't need my phone. And that is the best time that I have had to take me into complete mindfulness zone, because you are on a bike coming down a downhill track. You need to be present. You can't be anywhere else. You can't even be thinking what you're doing for dinner that night, because if you get one turn wrong, you are over the handlebars. So exactly what you've said, and that's not something that I do. I don't currently do biking at the moment, but that is something that I would definitely recommend if you had that time to do it. I was very fortunate. I wasn't fortunate. I had a tough schedule, but I prioritised because I knew that actually my stress levels were getting to such a level. Trying to balance it all or trying to do it all, I was like, I need to do something here, and that's what I chose as my activity of choice.
Yeah, and there again, there's that mindset. I want to do something else. What is there? And looking into this and choosing to see it as an as an option. You just said you were fortunate under the circumstances, and
Yeah,
it's others might not see it that way, but
yeah,
that's already a it's certain way of thinking and living, and then
yeah,
purposely looking at how can you make that happen, and
yeah.
that's where life coaching can definitely come in as well.
Oh, this is so good. Okay, the next persona we're going to talk about, I just want to give a quick little, I don't want to say a trigger warning because that sounds a little bit too harsh, but I want to give some sort of preempt so that if people want to switch off at this point and they've really enjoyed the session, that's great. I will timestamp this anyway when it goes onto my YouTube channel. I don't know if Nadine will do the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the next area that we're going to go and talk about, we are going to mention IVF and we are going to mention miscarriage. So I just want to give anybody the opportunity to dial out now and to say, yep, that was good. I've heard enough that I need to hear. If that is two areas that you're not particularly interested in hearing about, or if it perhaps is going to trigger any emotions, we don't want that. We're here to help. If not, and you're happy to carry on, then stick with us. The third persona is, again, it's a little melange. It's a little mix of different scenarios of real clients that we've brought together. And we're going to call this persona Jayne, okay? So Jayne has come in through a fitness route, so she's come to me first, and I'm going to see what Nadine can do. And this is a really interesting persona. So let me give you some background on her. Jayne is happily married mum of one. She works reduced hours, which is around 16 hours per week. She lives with her husband in a great city and they are very happy. Good start. For over 2 years, they have been trying to conceive baby number 2 without success. They have been seeking advice from specialists and have decided to try IVF. They are pretty shocked as their first child was very easy to conceive and they can't get their heads around why things are so tough this time. Jayne was very active with me postpartum, but now that they are going down the IVF route, she is terrified to do as much physical activity, fearing that anything she does will result in a miscarriage. She has gone down the Google rabbit hole with her miscarriage research and has now started to make huge changes to her everyday life, including food and diet, fitness, sleep, and supplements. At this point, she has become quite obsessed with everything she does, and during a recent personal training session, she became quite hostile regarding the exercises I had planned for her to do. This is completely out of character, and I tried to reason with her that the exercises I had planned would in no way impact her at this time. Not pregnant at that time, and her first round of IVF was not due for another month. She stopped in her tracks and broke down in tears. She is so terrified of doing anything she did 6 months ago for fear that her body will punish her when she tries to conceive. So this persona is an interesting one for us to tackle because we might be in a position where Jayne is not really meant to be with us. Okay, so we have to, in this position, in this case, on the fitness side of things, I'm going to take you very briefly through what I would do because we would not go into so much to talk about her fitness routine and her fitness plan. So for this type of client that I have been working with for a while, and the word personal in personal training is really important. Personal trainers are like hairdressers, I believe. We get a lot of information from our clients under the guise of secrecy and privacy. And you're in such a privileged position as a personal trainer because they are trusting you with that information, which is why these are personas and they're not real life client, real one client that we're dealing with tonight or today. So for me, for Jayne, first of all, I would have an open conversation weaving in facts and data and science-backed material that we can source together and read together, which talks about the link between working out and potential miscarriages. So for me, it's really important that she understands what are the facts rather than what are the feelings around this, and what could we get information-wise, any statistics around any link between working out and potential miscarriage. And then moving this forward to talk about the benefits of working out pre-conception and through the pregnancy, citing evidence, CMO recommendations, that's your chief medical officer wherever you're residing, which country you're residing in. WHO, World Health Organization, also has recommendations, and NICE as well, NICE, and also relating back to her own first pregnancy. So for me, every pregnancy is completely different, even with the same mum. So, but you're trying to relate back and say, is this fear justified or not? I don't really know. That's not for me to make that decision. But for her, I need to make sure she understands that fitness is not going to be the ogre in the scenario, and that we can face this together. That's what I would be trying to come, the angle I'd be coming from. I would 100%, and this is what I was saying at the start, ask to seek a collaborative approach with her medical professional, in this case an OB/GYN or her IVF doctor, and me, so that collectively we would come to plan workouts that would keep her in good, healthy shape, but be very mindful of the medical advice. So if they were trying to say to me, this could be a high-risk pregnancy, you're going to back off as a personal trainer. You're going to take a step back and dial this down entirely, because the priority for that client is not seeing a personal trainer, it's conception. And then working with that professional throughout the pregnancy, if we're good to go and to continue, taking the foot off the gas, as we say, when we need to dial down any workouts. So you're switching high intensity workouts to low intensity. You're changing low intensity workouts to maintenance workouts. You are maybe switching to more walking based, stretching based. And the personal training aspect comes in because it's more of a meeting, and it's more of a checking her technique, checking her form, being somebody that she's comfortable with. I would definitely then switch and do quite a lot of work in, to go back, I'd stick to 2 sessions per week, incorporating cardio, strength and resistance. It doesn't necessarily have to be high maintenance though, with the goal of maintaining her fitness level, not trying to be better at it at this time. And then I would do quite a bit of work on the other side of the personal training dial, which is a session on food, diet and nutrition. So we can make sure that her blood sugar levels are not dropping, make sure her weight management is front of mind. When you are doing food and fitness and you stop the fitness aspect, the food becomes really important, watching what you're eating and consuming. Weight loss happens with the food part, not so much the fitness part. So they have to work kind of in tandem. So if you reduce your fitness level down, but you're still consuming enough to keep you fueled for your fitness, that's when you'll potentially see weight gain. So you actually have to alter your food as well, okay? And then a session of just setting our goals for the month, each month. So keeping things really short and tight. We're not going for long term here. We're not talking about 6 months down the line. We're taking things just 1 month at a time. Goals would be reflective of the stage of pregnancy she's at, and could be incorporating sessions plus pregnancy classes such as pregnancy yoga and Pilates. So that's what I would do on my side, and very much one step at a time type of training that I would do with this client. Different to the other two where you're trying to ramp them up and trying to pull them out and trying to get them more energized. Almost quite the opposite with this, and it's not because of any link between fitness and miscarriage. I might want to make that point really clear. It's more because she herself is feeding this. So out of respect to her thoughts and feelings, I would flip it to her to say, okay, we'll go at your level with what fitness you're comfortable with, whether I think she can do more or not. We go at her level and we keep the maintenance going. That's the angle that I take with this type of client.
It totally makes sense. You're breaking it down. You're going with the client. It's the collaborative approach, fact-based, and it's like one step at a time.
Yeah.
Going through that, and wow, that's it's a tough situation. Say again?
So this is a tough client persona to look at.
Yeah,
what would you do?
Sure.
What would happen? So I would refer her to you. The reason I would refer her to you at this point is because of the fact that the out of character piece, when she became quite hostile, I had a session planned for her that was reflective of and compassionate. Let's do an easier slant, whatever. when somebody is completely out of character, I know that person. So for me, that's when I think, okay, actually, I know a coach that you might want to speak to
Hmm.
that could potentially help you out. So I would do
Yeah.
that's how I would get the referral to you. What would you do with that referral though? Would you be avoiding it like the plague, or would you be
No,
like,
no, no.
yeah, this is great, or what would you do? Would you be like, Michelle, please don't do this?
No,
What would you do on your side?
I welcome all referrals, please. But I would sit down with Janie just to understand her situation firsthand. That's always important to not assume and get the information firsthand and seek an open and honest and trusting conversation here. And from what I just heard from you, though, especially about the out of character part, is and the impact it has seems to at least have on large aspects of her life, is I would probably encourage her to seek out her main medical provider and ask her to get a diagnosis from a not physiotherapist, psycho therapist, a medical therapist, and to see if the anxiety and whatever else that might be going on, because I'm not like medically trained, whatever else is going on, if there is a mental health medical condition there, then this is not something that
Yeah,
I can help with. Similar to you're working with her medical provider
yeah,
on the fitness level, I can certainly, and I've done that several times, work with clients who do see a therapist and work in tandem with a life coach. I personally would like to have the blessing of
yeah,
the therapist or the counselor, whoever they end up seeing, to go forward, just to be on the safe side. Coaching itself focuses more on practical aspects on how to move forward, how to kind of get be in the present, but then also make positive choices and changes going forward. And the medical aspect of it dives a lot more into the past and obviously touches on the present as well. But there is also the aspect of potentially maybe some sort of medication being involved or any other things that am not trained in.
yeah,
And so similar, like you work in tandem with other medical professionals, I would say, okay, I would like to just be on the safe side and
yeah.
refer someone on if I think that might be necessary. And she might come back and say, hey, I've talked, and it's like, no, we're good to go and I don't need a therapist. Then that's fine as well. But at least that box is ticked off and there's
Yeah,
clarity
cool.
in
Good
that.
idea. And
Yeah.
then what would you, so say we took her down, say she did that and it was maybe she has a therapist or maybe she's got the sign off from a therapist to say, you don't
Hmm.
need therapy, but this Nadine sounds really good. Yeah, continue.
Yeah.
What do you think your next
Yeah.
steps would be there?
So obviously we have those other conversations, seeing what exactly it is that she wants, how she wants to live her life in the now and in the future, and what comes through there, depending on that. We would make a plan. Just going with the information that I have from you now, obviously there's things around anxiety and fears, like a lack of confidence in her own body and her own abilities, the impact it might have on the rest of her life. What impact, I'd be curious to know what impact it has maybe on her relationships, on the way
Yeah.
she enjoys life right now, or most likely not,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
where she wants to go with that. All in all, um, I feel like Jane just needs a big hug, most of all from
Yeah.
herself as well. And it's like you have that big self-kindness and self-compassion and give herself a hug. And it's like, you're doing okay. You will be
Yeah.
okay. And um, it. it may or may not look like the way you want it. But in the right and now, like get away from that fear and see how you can be kinder to your mind. Start building up confidence in what happens, and you're dealing with whatever, comes up. That looking into those type of things. Again, actually, I would, through a conversation, also obviously always gently challenge any sorts of feelings that come up that she might take at face value as a fact, when it might not be fact. It's just a thought of things that, like, oh, it could be like I'm not good enough, or my body isn't right for this, or I'm doing something wrong. Those types of feelings and thoughts are not necessarily facts, and to challenge that gently, in a compassionate way, and look into ways to build up that confidence and that self-compassion. And actually, in this case, the positive affirmations that you've mentioned earlier are a good way of doing that here. They are actually...
I knew they would come in at some point. Yes.
They are actually proven to change the way our brain works and to process information. And because our mind and our body are connected, you actually have the power to change how you feel. And hopefully feel better around it. So positive affirmations done regularly in a way that really resonates with you. And there are lots of different positive affirmations out there. So it's like kind of discovering together what those could be for you, and then regularly practice those. Another approach here on building that confidence and self-esteem back as well, and that state of mental well-being, would be to practice gratitude. There is actually something from a quote from the Harvard Medical School that I wanted to read out. It says, in positive psychology research, gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. I mean, if that's not a sales point, it's like, why isn't everyone doing it? So there's different ways to practice gratitude as well. It can go through journaling. It could be something that I've done with my partner for a while, and that's a good reminder of going back into it. Is for us, we wanted it to be as kind of authentic as possible and get into it. It's like Sunday evenings when we're all sitting together and we're just like, hey, what happened this week? What, you're just living from one day to another, and it's just, hey, what happened this week? Do you remember? Oh, this was so good. I'm glad we got to do this. And hey, you remember what else? I'm really happy that we could connect with our parents, or that we found that thing in the supermarket that we've been looking for, or we got the last one of it. It's like just like something that feels authentic, but it has to be authentic to each person. It always feels different. And another thing, and I see a theme here. I definitely see a red thread through all of these clients. It's fun. It's fun. I want Jayne to have a bit more fun, and that fun again might look very, very different from any of the other mums, and it might even be a bit gentler, and it might be a quiet type of fun. But
she has great relationship with her husband or partner, so maybe it's a case of the two of them, without the existing child, having fun together. But date nights that are maybe action-based, like temple bowling, or let's go kayaking for an hour, or I don't know, wherever they live. Do you think that would be quite good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, because it would also take and that's an assumption, if that is a thought that's going on, but oftentimes it can be we're kind of intimate and together for the sole purpose of creating another child. So
this project
that becomes, yes, it's right, instead of like the actual bonding between two partners. So it's and to keep strengthening that, because that again feeds back into the happy hormone. You're flooding your body with happy hormones, all these different ones that definitely not. Anyway, so this all feeds in, and when we're making a plan on what that fun looks like, it's really easy for thoughts like guilt and shame to come back in. I shouldn't be feeling this happy right now, or I can't possibly do this because what if, that thing comes up again? And so, and you don't want to go down that stressful route. So you're looking at like what feels authentic and what is doable in small chunks for some fun,
relief,
and then
enjoyment.
and relief, and then build up on that, right? Once you have the confidence, oh, I could do that. You remember how good I felt afterwards? Okay, and then you're building up on that. So it doesn't end up being stressful or guilt-ridden experience.
I think one of the fitness options I would probably give her, I am a Nordic walking instructor, and honestly, it's one of the best exercises you can do, because you are obviously walking and you've got Nordic walking poles, but the chat that you have with others, it's a community-based exercise, really. Jayne would probably love that, to go and do she would probably initially be like, it's just a walking session, but it's so good. It uses 90% of your body's muscles if you're doing it properly, and it's really, really good. Like really good. So I think that would be a really good, I'm just thinking about that would be a really good suggestion for her to do that, because that would be outdoors. I'm not saying it's super fun, it depends on who you're going with, I guess. But then in a group environment where you're chatting away and your mind is off the task in hand, this project. I think this project that she has, and this recurring mental thoughts of IVF is going to be tough and I'm just terrified of doing anything. If I achieve this goal, to then lose it via exercise and miscarry, that's not something I want to do. And I think that could be, that recurring theme and thought process needs to be kind of dealt with gently, but almost stopped as well.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like questions come up, like how can this be a bit more fun? How can I bring a bit more fun into this? How can this be a bit easier? And you're not looking at totally, flipping a switch. You're looking at tiny steps that make sense without activating that stress part in your brain that's like, oh no, I'm not doing anything now. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You just want to see what is possible and go from there with a lot of compassion.
Brilliant. Okay, that is us. We've wrapped up our 3 personas. I would say that they are different style, different mums that we've managed to approach. There are obviously lots of different personas that we didn't even touch on, but we could go on all night, clearly. So we will wrap this up shortly, but fascinating to talk through how 2 professionals like us could actually work quite collaboratively, quite collected, with the same goal in mind, which is how do we help that person sitting in front of us. So wherever I'm posting this in terms of Vivi Rocks, Vivi Rocks is just a reminder, it's a fitness, health and wellness platform, website, membership. So anywhere I post this video, I'm going to include all of your links below it. So I'm going to include how to get in touch with you, your website. What's the main thing you think people should get in touch with you? How do they do that? How would they do that? Is it just through your website? What do you think?
My website, go to nadinestille.com. I know it'll be in the comments there. There's a prompt to sign up for a free 7-day guide of soul nurturing self-care for stressed moms, so you can join that. You will automatically also be signed up to my newsletter that comes out regularly, but it's not spammy, and just all the information there. And also on the website is information on some of the ways we can work together, how to stay in contact, and lots of resources in forms of articles and ideas.
That sounds fantastic. I'm going to include all that in my stuff. And are you open for new clients at the moment? Do you have a waiting list, or do you have some client spaces? What does it
I
look
do,
like?
I do have client spaces available
Good.
right
Okay.
now, so people can reach out. There's a form on the website depending on
Okay.
what you want. We can either have a chat before, or if something resonates there and is like, yep, that's what I want, then
Yeah.
that's easy to go for as
And
well.
sometimes people won't know what they want. They won't actually know. So they'll just be like, I need to get in touch because
Yes,
you don't know what
exactly.
you don't know. We've had this theme throughout the whole entire session. You don't know what you don't know. So they might not.
Exactly.
I often find that sometimes clients don't know that they're stressed or don't know that they're suffering from anxiety or don't know that they are whatever,
There's that
because you don't know
clarity
what you
there.
don't know, really. So they
Exactly.
get in touch with you, that's perfect. And how often would you, just to get a little bit of an idea for anybody listening,
Mm.
are they able to see you? Is it like therapy once a week for 6 months, or is it a set
hmm
goal? It's a 12-week course, or
Mm.
what kind of ways do you start to kick that off?
So for me, it kind of evolved over time as well. And I built in a lot of flexibility. So whatever you're signing up for is a, it's like you get a certain amount of time with me together and resources and God knows what and access to me throughout. But it's from the time of signing up, you have um, like nine months to use all this up because
Okay.
and then it's down to you as the client to say,
Yeah.
okay, I want to meet up once a week for half an hour. I want to meet up twice every month for an hour, but I'm going away on holiday or I have this big project up on work,
Yeah.
so I won't be able to do anything on those 2-3 weeks. But then again, I schedule. So there is the time and access you have. Allocated for me doesn't like it can be done in a shorter time for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
but to give that flexibility and not constantly having to,
Extend things. Yeah.
it's
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 nine.
it's extended. So
Yeah.
maximum time 9 months. Most people get it into like 4 to 6 months, and
Yeah.
they
Perfect.
just know I need like this is what I want, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
work for it.
Yeah. Very
And
good.
then we have this time, but there's just take that stressor part out of
Mm,
it and bring in
mm.
the flexibility that we often need as moms.
Yeah. Don't we ever? Okay. That's it. That's us kind of wrapping up. Is there anything
Yeah.
else that you feel that we should say at this point? Is there anything I don't think we've missed anything with our personas, but there's nothing else that you feel that we need. On my side,
No.
just in case anybody's wondering, you can sign up. I've got a website as well, and vvrocks.com, and you can sign up there. There's a free membership. It's very important for me that people have access to free content. I'm like you. I have a lot of free workouts and plans and stuff like that. So there's a free membership, and there's also a VIP, which means Village in Place. And it's
Woo.
where, when you sign up for that, I love this. When you sign up for that, you are put into a village of same stage women. So if you're not postpartum and but you're maybe pregnant, then you go into a pregnant village. If you are postpartum, you'd go into a postpartum village. If you perimenopause village. You get the
Mhm.
idea. If you're none of the above and you're just not in any of these stages in life, you can still join and you'll be put in with same stage women. And it's really the camaraderie. It's like we've talked about, our mums here don't have that village. And that's really important, actually. That's the aspect that I feel that's missing in this new generation of motherhood.
Mhm.
We're not going to be able to recapture what our grandmothers had. We're not going to be able to recapture that. That era has gone. So we have to create our own villages now, and these days it will be with random strangers globally in a group online.
That's
But
what
it
I
works.
exactly. That's what I just wanted to point out. Part of this is, and actually, more or less, I don't know if it was by accident or not, or just the type of people that are surrounded, that are around us in our communities are actually people who have moved to a different country, just like you and me.
Yeah,
And it's a global thing, right?
yeah,
It's like people join your village in place, and it's
yeah,
people from all over the place. You're
yeah.
based in France.
I'm in
I'm based
France.
I'm in Canada. I'm German, moved over here and all a bit around. You're obviously
Scottish, moved to France.
surprised.
I was in Canada.
You were in Canada, and so a lot of people are around, and they don't have that traditional village in place, and you're looking
Absolutely.
for, it's like, where's your support team? Where is that village? And and often it's not what you may have imagined it to be, but it could be your fitness trainer, it could be also including your coach,
Yeah.
and maybe your hairdresser, who knows,
Yeah.
your next door neighbor who just moved in,
It's embracing
or
that
someone,
this is my new village, and
yeah,
they might not know they're in my village, but they're in my
yeah.
village.
And it could be someone in Australia, half a day ahead of us.
Exactly.
And they're still supportive and they still help, we're still helping
Yeah.
each other out. So it's this change in mindset. It's like, instead of like, this is what I don't have, what do you do have?
Yeah.
And what is there to, where's an opportunity here?
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, so, oh my gosh,
Well,
this has been amazing. I want to say let's do this again at some form or shape.
what we need to do is we need to do this again, and then we'll have to get some feedback on this one for anybody in terms of personas. So if
Yes.
you're watching this or listening to this anywhere that you're watching or listening to this, if you're sitting there thinking, I would like to have this for my situation, we will obviously keep you completely anonymous. But if you would like to, let us know, this is my situation, what do you think you would be able to suggest? We are more than happy to do that. I'm pretty sure we'll work together in the future as well. As things stand at the moment, we are kind of done with today's session. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope everyone took something from this. And if you have any questions at all, both of our doors are wide open. You can reach out at any time and ask us for help or a little piece of advice or how to sign up to any of the things that we offer. Nadine, you get the last word before I stop recording.
Let's have some fun.
Yes! On that note, bye everyone.